Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll help the channel out and it'll get you more videos like this. Let's get to it. And our first one comes from Ambitious Leg 7125. Am I the beehole for telling my former social worker I don't credit her for my good outcome? I'm a former foster kid who ended up with an incredible foster family who eventually adopted me when I turned 18 because I wanted to credit those legal ties with them. I credit them with giving me a good life after 7 years of a shite one, but I don't credit my former social worker for that success at all. So, background. My mom lost custody of me when I was 5 and her older kids when they were 11 and 12. They had a different dad to me. I'm not sure what happened there, but when we were first taken from our mom, we were placed with a family member who eventually decided she didn't want us, and we were placed in the same foster home. But my half-siblings hated me. They were always telling me I shouldn't have been born, trying to make me cry. They said they were glad my dad was not here anymore, and they were glad because he was shitey, and that I was shitey too, and I should be unalived like him. I never knew who my father was, and I don't know his name. No name on my original birth certificate. This started before we were taken into care and continued until I was finally separated from them after an incident when I was 6. I was placed in 7 different foster homes before finding my family. My former social worker fought against me and my half-siblings being separated, and even when she lost the ability to keep us together, she insisted on visits between the 3 of us. I told her how they treated me. I recorded it once with my family's camcorder, and she didn't care. The visits stopped once my half-siblings aged out of the system. It was such a relief to no longer have them in my life. I knew that they hated me. I was terrified of seeing them. I used to not eat and sleep before those visits, and my parents tried to protect me, but they were ordered to maintain the visits. Even after they ended, my former social worker would tell me I should keep in touch with my half-siblings, and she'd tell me I'd thank her one day. I ran into my former social worker recently, and she approached me and said I was one of her best successes case. I didn't want to hear it, and I told her I don't credit her for that good outcome, that she forced me to endure years of bullying and verbal abuse at the hands of bio-siblings, who have known that they hate me and insist that it's my best interest when it was the worst thing she could have done. I told her that I hope she learned from it and does better, but I will never give her credit for how great my life has become. I walked away from her, and then last week I ran into her again, and she told me I had no reason to be so bitter and hateful towards her, and that I will one day see why she did what she did and understand that she acted in my best interest. She told me to grow up and to learn to see the nuance in these situations. I told her I wouldn't see shite any differently, and she responded that I can't keep her a villain in my story forever. Am I the beehole? OP, no you're not the beehole, and yes, you can keep the villain in the story as the villain forever if you want. Because that's the villain. And I'll tell you exactly why she's the villain. After you told her verbally what was going on, she should have started looking into it and went, oh, okay, this isn't bad, this is, bad and not good for the child, I better stop. Or when you came with, I don't know, video proof for what they were doing to you, and she still thinks she's the good person and thinks you want to be in touch with those people, she is the villain. Honestly, OP, she can't keep getting away with this crap. You need to go report her immediately, because she's putting kids in danger, and she seems to think it's a good thing to do that. I look down in the comments, it looks like she's effing up in another way too. It comes from Boogala Ga. I'm an LCSW, one with social worker credentials. Though I'm not doing the DHSS CPS type work, I do child and family counseling. Part of maintaining confidentiality of my clients is that I can't approach them outside of work. I warn the kids I work with that if I see them in public, I'm ignoring them. I'm not mad at them, I'm just respecting their right of privacy. And they're welcome to say hi, I just can't initiate. So that worker coming over like she was extremely and deeply unprofessional, breach of confidentiality, and 100% should be reported. I didn't even think about that, her approaching you in public. And this sounds like she didn't care about you, she just sounds like she was bigging herself up, making herself feel good, like, I kept that family together, even though the kid told me all these horrible things, I did it, I'm a good person. She sounds like a bloody narcissist. OP, no, you are not the beehole. And our next one comes from Throwaway098. Am I the beehole for reminding my friend that she married for intelligence, and look where that got her? I, a 35-year-old female, met my husband, Vince, a 36-year-old male, after he saved me from drowning at a pool party when I was 18. I took him out for lunch and followed following a week to thank him for saving me, and we soon fell in love and began dating. At the time, Vince worked a blue-collar job while I was studying in university. We ended up getting married, and Vince supported me throughout my entire education up until I got my PhD. Oh, nice, congratulations, OP, and you got a good man. Vince always told me that he wanted to study in university, but had learning disabilities that made it difficult for him to study in a classroom. At times he was embarrassed by the fact that he had to work twice as hard compared to the people around him, but I always found that to be admirable about him. When I finished my studies and got a well-paying job, I convinced Vince to give his dream of studying another go. Last year, he was finally accepted into a nursing program at our local university. He is working hard to achieve his dream, and I'm incredibly proud of him. Last week, my friend Alba, a 36-year-old female, came to visit with her son so our children could play together. Alba was my roommate during my first year in university. She began dating her husband Leo around the same time I started dating Vince. Leo was an obnoxious law student who later became an even more obnoxious attorney. Why are they always like that? Like, I get back in a day being a lawyer meant something, but nowadays, some random kid, something 20-year-old could start a stream and make more than them in a couple months, and they didn't have to go do all the studying and get in debt to get the job. I'm just saying, being a lawyer, being a doctor, it's cool, but it's not that special, and they don't pay the most nowadays. But back to it. Who prided himself on all his intelligence, for some reason attracted Alba. At the time, Alba would sometimes tease me that I could do better than Vince, and would offer to set me up with one of Leo's law school buddies, but I would always refuse, and she'd eventually drop the subject. Alba and Leo are currently going through a nasty divorce that stems from him cheating on her. Quite frankly, he's dragging her through the mud and using connections to try and leave her penniless as possible. Oh, okay, don't marry a lawyer because they got connections. Same reason I wouldn't mess with a cop, because if things go south, they also have connections to make your life a living hell. But back to it. As we were chatting and catching up, Alba began to express her concern over the fact that my oldest son, a 7-year-old male, was recently diagnosed with dyslexia. Alba began telling me how she is worried that my son will be academically challenged, like his father, what that could entail for his future. Before I could respond, she told me how I should have married someone smart while I had the chance, so I'd have kids like hers. Alba's son is incredibly a bright boy and a straight-A student. I told Alba her advice was unnecessary and reminded her that where marrying for intelligence got her. And then I proceeded to tell her that I'd rather have my son grow up to be honest and a hardworking person like his father than an academically gifted jerk who wasn't smart enough to know sleeping with his secretary could have consequences on his marriage, like her husband. Alba was deeply hurt by what I said and stormed out with her son. Some mutual friends are now chiming in and are telling me that I was too harsh on Alba for using her failing marriage to prove my point, and I should apologize. No, you shouldn't. She was over there trying to talk crap about your child and your man, and you pointed out her stupidity. She had to have known. Like, she's still trying to act like she's better than you when her life is going down in flames. That's crazy. Oh, and like I say, before I get to this update, in these situations where you have friends who tell you should apologize and you're in the wrong when you're obviously not, those aren't your friends, OP. Cut them off, I would. She's completely in the wrong. She comes to your place, starts talking crap about your husband, your children, tries to act like she's so much better than you that she has her shite together. When like I said, there's a giant house fire behind her and she's like, yup, this is fine. I'm doing amazing. Yeah, so I'm glad you pointed it out. She shouldn't start crap, she shouldn't throw stones in glass houses. I'm just saying. But back to the update. Small update. First of all, I want to thank you all for your replies. I wanted to address the couple things many of you asked, why Alba and I remain friends despite her previous remarks. Alba and I grew up apart during our 3rd year in university. We only remained friends by association since we have a lot of shared mutual friends. We became close again after our sons started playing basketball together at the local community center and became friends. I figured that becoming a mother made her much more mature and didn't give me any reasons to suspect otherwise. I've decided to send her a message saying that the way she spoke about my husband and son was unacceptable, and therefore she is no longer welcome in my home. However, I don't want her sons to lose their friendship, and therefore I'm willing to remain civil about the kids and organize playdates. She hasn't replied to me just yet, but I truly hope she loves her son enough to put her ego aside and remain civil for the sake of our kids. I've yet to notify Vince about this. entire situation since he's vigorously studying for an important quiz that is coming up next week, and I know that if he heard what Albus said about him and our boy, it would make him upset and he wouldn't be able to continue studying properly. Unless something crazy happens in the meantime, I'll probably update him next week after he's done with the quiz. Alright, after reading that update, I see where you're going with your kid's friends update thing. But I don't see her doing that, putting her pride aside and all that. So I wouldn't, hold my breath on that. And yeah, I agree. Don't tell your husband until after he's taken his test. He doesn't need that unnecessary stress on him because of that woman. So P, no, you are not the beehole. And our final one is from Construction Most 5603. Am I the beehole for telling my dad's wife she's not included in any pre-wedding activities because her one-sided contact with my mom is pathetic? My parents got divorced when my siblings and I were in middle school/high school. We are now in our 20s. Dad got married 2 years after the divorce. He met his wife and married her 6 months because he was planning on moving back to her home state. And he didn't want to do the whole long distance thing, so we didn't really know her when he told us that they had eloped in Vegas. She, however, thought we were all super close and really disappointed when our reactions were pretty muted to their news. This started her off being jealous of my mom. She was jealous of the closeness we had with my mom. Then she was jealous of the fact that we got along so well with our mom's partner, and we're still close, even though mom and him never got married. Dad's wife started showing up all glammed up to school functions and football games that we were involved in. She looked like she was attending a wedding or some red carpet, and she'd make snarky comments about dressing up to support her kids while looking right at my mom. Oh my god, how childish. She would then throw these lavish birthday parties and invite both sides of our family, then attempt to dress up in matching outfits, the birthday kid and her. It always made her twitchy when we didn't want to dress like her. When my twin siblings turned 16 and my sister and mom had matching necklaces, my dad's wife actually went home to change and wore the same color dress as my sister. She talks like mom is somehow less than her because she's not remarried. She gloats that she has a ring on her finger, that she shares the same last name as us, the kids. Just all kinds of petty things. She's someone we tolerate, but we don't like her, and if we could exclude her from our lives without losing our dad, we would. I'm getting married, and so is one of my brothers, the twin. My dad's wife has not been invited to any fittings, tastings, viewings, etc., etc., by either my fiance nor I, my brother, and his fiance. But my mom hasn't been invited to stuff on both sides, and my dad's wife was so upset by it. She asked my brother about being invited to something first, and he said no, just no, nothing else, and she pestered him for a while before moving on to me, and she broke down over it, and said she can't understand not being included in the pre-wedding activities. I told her she's not included because her one-sided contest with my mom is pathetic and none of us want to deal with that. She said it was such a mean thing to say, and all she ever tried to do was earn that spot as our mom. The thing is, you will never earn that spot, woman. They have a mom that they love. I will never understand this thing where they try to force themselves into the kid's life. It just never works, but back to it. But we treat our mom's partner, who isn't even our stepdad, like he's more important than her. She was crying harder while saying all of this. Am I the beehole? No, you are not the beehole. Why would you want to invite someone to do anything, who's been mistreating your mother and acting so childish and rude towards someone you love? I'm amazed she's even coming to the wedding. I guess she has to because you guys want to stay in contact with your father, and she seems to be, the dead weight that he's dragging along with him. And I'm assuming you treat your mother's partner better than her because your mother's partner is probably chill and isn't probably trying to force himself into things and probably isn't talking shite about your father. I'm just saying, that's probably what's happening, why that guy's, treated better than her. I don't think there's anything she can do to come back because she said what she said, but she needs to calm down and apologize and get the hell out of the way. This is not her place. OP, no, you're not the beehole. Keep her out of everything. And if she keeps acting like this, disinvite her and the dad from the wedding. He needs to learn too to tell her to be like, hey, stop. You're messing with my kids. You're making things worse. But OP, no, you're not the beehole. It's your wedding and you can do whatever the hell you want with whatever guest you want. Thank you for making it to the end of the video with me. And can you please do what I said in the beginning? And like, comment, and subscribe. It really and truly does help the channel out. It helps it grow and it helps you get more videos like this. Velvet out.